Hi. Oh, I always do a clap, and I also realized that I do some really weird things during videos when I'm speaking. Sometimes, like when my throat's tired, I do some type weird things. So I'm trying to stop all that weirdness and speak like a normal person, like I normally speak. If you know me from the streets, I don't know what's wrong with me today. Maybe it's sleep deprivation. Maybe it's lack of food. Hi guys, welcome back to Natasha's Narrative. If you have not subscribed, why haven't you subscribed? You have no excuse. I just don't understand why you wouldn't. To get all your fantastic Natasha's Narrative content right here, right now, subscribe. So, anyway, today I'm going to be talking about improving your UCAS application for universities. So this is a generalized applications, not med school specific, but just how to, put your best foot forward when applying for universities. So let's go. Number one, whether you're applying to something as competitive as medicine or dentistry or Oxbridge, make sure that you remember in your mind that there are thousands of people applying to the same course that you want to apply to at the same university. They're not even all from the UK. Remember, we have competition from everywhere. The UK has some of the best universities in the world, so there's so many people who want to come over here, and it makes me I'm sounding really racist, but that's not my point. Loads of people want to come over here and study, so what I'm trying to say is that we have a lot of competition, so we need to make sure that we are standing out and we are making the best UCAS applications that we can. Same with all the international students. If you want to come to a UK university, you need to be making sure that you're making the best applications that you can to stand out from the counterparts. So, advice: if you're in the UK schooling system and you're in year 12 or you're in year 11, so you're about to, finish your GCSEs and you're going to have that long summer, start thinking about how you can be proactive in making yourself stand out. So, for example, I know a lot of kids, I'm not even going to name their names because that's a bit shady, but I know a lot of people in year 11, year 12 who have never really done anything for their school, whether it be, participated in sports, participated in any type of debate society, anything like that. Why is a university going to want you? If you're just grades, a uni is not going to want you, because you have to remember that when you go to a university, they expect you to take part in the societies and the sports that they have. Obviously not every single one, because otherwise you wouldn't be doing any work, but all universities have sports societies and social societies, and in order for those to run, they have to have students that are willing to volunteer their time. So for those of you who know or don't know, during my time at university, I was social sec, then vice president, then president of the African Caribbean Society. So if you don't have people who are keen and, interested in partaking, or look like they've been interested in partaking in activities, you're not going to want them, because you're just going to be like, well, we're just going to churn out a person with no personality. Not trying to be rude or savage, but that is the truth. So start thinking about, what type of things do I like? Am I in, if you're interested in sport, I'm sure you would already be taking part, but if you haven't, why haven't you taken part? If you're not part of your school team, be part of a community team. It shows that, that you're a sociable person, and not only that, you learn so many different skills from being part of the sport team in terms of teamwork, better communicative skills, etc. And universities are extremely competitive. They love to go up against each other in these sporting competitions and obviously win. So if you're interested in sports, apply to do so. If you're, like I said, there's so many different types of societies. Like, you have Cheese and Wine Society at a lot of universities, Harry Potter Society, even I've seen Quidditch there, etc. So a lot of these societies are actually things that you would never come across if you haven't been to university before. But it's still about seeing that, you have the potential to reach out to those type of things. Like to discuss topics why don't you think about talking to your school about starting a debate society, talking to teachers and seeing whether teachers are willing to give up their time to do such, etc. Model UN, really. And even, like I said, looking out and doing things that are outside of school, starting your own book club, etc. They just want to see that you're taking initiative and be involved in things and how you work around people, because no matter how big or small your university is, you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people. Number two, I would say, in terms of picking extracurriculars to be involved in, it is smart to at least have a couple of extracurriculars that are targeted to what you're applying for. So, for example, if you want to study law, it would look good on your CV to be part of like I said before, debating, Model UN, things that show that you can articulate yourself well, things that show that you're not scared to, go up against people, so that in the future, if you decide to become something like a barrister, they can see that, okay, you know what, she has the potential to confront people, and not in obviously an aggressive way, but to discuss their topics eloquently and to get their points across. These are good things. If you're thinking of, becoming a medic like I was, doing things like during the summer of year 11, I volunteered at for a charity, the British Heart Foundation. So doing things like that, going to conferences that were medically associated. So my school knew that I wanted to become a medic, so in year 11 they sent me with a few other people who were interested in sciences or medicine itself, and we went to a conference at Imperial, and it was about junior doctors. So do things that show that, yes, I'm actually interested in that course itself. Number three, if you are applying to somewhere that requires interviews, so I know that Oxbridge does interviews regardless of the course. I know that I think pharmacy, for some universities, they're now doing interviews for pharmacy. Obviously, medicine. Obviously, medicine, dentistry, and veterinary sciences require interviews. I think there are now some law degrees where they're doing interviews for them as well. Make sure that you actually, find out about the university that you're applying to. These guys obviously know that you are applying to other universities, but they want to know, okay, out of your 4 or 5 options, why did you pick us? So it's really important to know about the university, know about the course in particular, how they teach the course. So I'm going to talk slightly about medicine because that's the only one I really know about. So is it traditional based? Is it PBL? Or which is problem-based learning, or case-based learning? Is it an integrated approach? Is the what is the history behind the university? Are you allowed to do dissection, or is it prosection? So you want to know all about the university, all about the type of course that they are teaching, as I said, and why you think that the way that the course is laid out would be good for you. Why do you think that type of learning would be suitable to your needs? To this, like I said before, them being able to see that you can contribute to this university is paramount. But yeah, so universities, like I said, for interviews, they get extremely excited when they can see that you've really done your research. So when I was applying to medical schools this time, I really made sure that I did the ins and outs of research regarding not only just the universities, but obviously we get paired up with hospitals. So I made sure that I knew about the hospitals that we're paired up with, what are the good parts about it. So for example, with Newcastle, I knew about the Freeman, how well known they are for doing transplantation in the northeast. So, and then when it came to Warwick and Coventry, I know that they have a really good maternity ward in Warwickshire Hospital, so I looked into that. And then when it came to King's and St Thomas's and Guy's, I looked at also the children's hospitals. So really just making sure that you have a well-rounded knowledge, I think, is extremely important, so that they can see that you're really interested. Obviously this is mostly applying to, like I said, people who have interviews. Number 4, when you're writing your UCAS statement, as your teachers will probably tell you, is about an 80-20% split between academics and extracurricular activities. Make sure that you break things down. I did it into about four-ish, maybe hinting on five-ish paragraphs ish, making sure that I explained in the beginning why I want to do the course, why I was passionate about the course. Then I went into, so obviously this is different for undergrads, but then you go into kind of like the academics, why you think that the subjects that you've chosen will make you well equipped for the course. Then you can talk about your work experience. So I'll talk about that a bit in a minute. Work experience and other things that you've done to help prepare. Then you talk about extracurriculars for the fourth paragraph. And then the fifth paragraph is not really a paragraph, it's more of a closing sentence, which kind of concludes and brings together the overall reason of why you are applying. So that is the type of structure. Make sure that you kind of know what type of structure that you want to do when you are writing your personal statement, so that everything makes sense, everything flows together really well. The piece of advice I would say regarding the personal statement is proofreading. Okay, so I had a couple of cousins who were applying for university last year when I was in third year, and I always told, especially one of them, I told him constantly, like, you know what, I can read your stuff if you ever need me to. And don't be shy. I mean, my man sent me 7 copies of his personal statement, just kept on sending them back and back. So obviously at school, you do have teachers that are supposed to help you with your personal statement, reading over it, suggesting what you should change, in particular, making sure that it's grammatically correct. But I think it's so important to have friends and families check it as well. That it doesn't really matter the type of background. You want a mixed background kind of check. So in terms of, like I said, again, I'm probably going to mention medicine quite a lot in these videos. So in terms of medicine, I had medics check it, but I also had non-medics check it. So I think what's important with having people who are obviously in that field is they know what the universities want to hear. They know what you should be talking about in more detail, which is extremely helpful. And then having people who are outside of that, they can more clearly see the kind of grammar and the structure of the paragraphs, and making sure that everything makes sense, so that when you send it out, your points are as clear and concise as you want them to be. It's really important to have a view coming from both sides, so that it can be made into basically the best type of personal statement that it can be, from actual content to how it's actually written. Another piece of advice I would give is also relating to personal statements and referencing. Make sure that when you're talking to your teachers or whoever is doing your reference for you, that they have as clear a perspective as on you as an individual. So for example, you might be involved in certain extracurriculars outside of school. You can't expect your teachers to know that if they're not, even if they are at school, they probably might not even know, because normally these are the heads of department, so they have a lot of other things to do. So make sure that everything that you would like your teachers to talk about, you have to tell them yourself, so that it can be put in the reference and they can like expand upon that. Now, moving on to work experience. Like I said, this is mainly aimed again at you year 11 and year 11s in particular, because you have that long summer, and year 12 students. You guys, stop being lazy. Stop being lazy. You have 3 months in between you finishing exams, you starting year 12, and you just want to do party after party, when you should be spending that time. Obviously celebrate, but celebrate, you've done a good job, you've sat all your exams, etc. But also remember that you are trying to progress in your journey of what your career should be. There are so many programs that are available for you to help improve your journey. So for example, there are summer school programs. So summer schools, so there are multiple summer school type programs, and they're aimed mostly for 16 to 17-year-olds. So this is normally a 2-week program. It can be either residential or non-residential, but I would definitely recommend the residential option if you're able to, just because it gives you kind of more of a full appreciation of what it's like to be at university. So like I said, there are multiple universities that do it, and they allow you to try out multiple different types of courses. They are free, so you only pay for your traveling expenses, food, etc., all of those kind of any other miscellaneous type of stuff, like if you go shopping or go to the cinema, all of that type of stuff comes out of your own pocket. But in terms of like accommodation, the universities sort that out. I think it's just a really amazing opportunity to kind of understand what university's like, and even better, if your course is available, what your course will be like. So you have to go through an application process explaining why you would be best chosen for this process. It's kind of like doing a mini like UCAS application. You do a little personal statement. You get a reference from like either a school teacher, and they submit it to you. So definitely would recommend doing it, and it would be just great to look on your UCAS application. But if you feel like, you know what, I'm not sure if summer schools are for me, there are also taster days. Taster days give you a great insight as to what kind of university will be like in a quick glimpse. You get to go around, ask questions from the students that are at the university, in particular in the course that you want to do. Ask questions to the staff, etc. Get a look of the university, see what it's kind of like, get a real feel for it. I think this is really important. If you have the chance to especially go to the universities that you really are interested in applying to, try and take that opportunity. I feel I was very blessed by ending up in Newcastle, because I did not do any research, I'm not gonna lie. I just kind of looked at how the universities look like briefly on the websites, and then applied to the biomed course at Newcastle, and luckily it was the best 3 years of my life, praise be to God. But it could have worked out very differently for me. I know people who even did more research than me and still ended up at universities that they felt weren't well suited to them. So anyway, to summarize, I would say is the first important thing that you want to get out with your UCAS, the course. You need to show that you're extremely keen for the course that you want to study. Secondly, if it's something that, you know, involves interviews, like I stated before, ensure that you know about the university history, maybe who even is the chancellor, etc. You want to know a lot about the university, because you might be able to just kind of slip it in to the questions if they don't really ask you directly. Number three, work experience. You people who think you're just gonna go, you know, get into these good universities by being lazy, no one wants lazy people, okay? And if you want to aspire to get into these good universities, then you need to actually be doing your utmost to be showing that you have extracurriculars outside of school, how you're going to be a contributing member of society. Even if you don't end up actually running any societies, they want to see that you still have that kind of potential. Remember, universities are actually a business. That's very key to remember. And you know, when they have successful alumni coming from that university, it looks very good for the uni. So don't think that you can just, you know, go to this one netball practice and think that you're going to have enough to put on your university application about be about extracurriculars. Even I, during my secondary school life, I was extremely active. Like I was on student council when I was in year 9. I was a prefect in year 10. I was captain of the netball team for a year, because we used to always alternate, and then co-captain for another year. So I was very busy during my secondary school life. Got invited, picked out of the kids in my school to go to the Commonwealth Day. So yeah, I was very busy when I was in secondary school, and I completely like slowed down quite a lot. Also played around this, slowed down quite a lot when I was at university. I didn't really participate in any sports team properly, which I kind of regret a tiny bit. And if I didn't have the stuff that I'd done with ACS, and obviously working as a carer outside of university during my holidays, I wouldn't have that much to add. So it's really important that they see that you're a very proactive person. So those are the 3 things that I would say definitely work on for your UCAS application, and hopefully it shall go successfully. So I will be able to make a more detailed medically based one. I'm going to be opening up all of my personal statements. Yes, all 5, I think. Actually, I don't think I really edited the one when I was at Newcastle Uni for first year, because I was just like, there's no point. But the 4 personal statements that I did, so that was when I was in year 13, my gap year one, my third year one, and the one that was successful. So I'm going to be going through them, as cringy as it might be. I'm sure my writing was actually awful during the first few ones, but just highlighting them, seeing where, could have been better, could have been worse, etc. Those type of things. So yeah, I'll be making videos on that. Like I said, UCAT. Sorry, I actually was not correct in my UCAT scoring. I got a 690, not 695. But whatever. And how I managed to get those scores and all the prep I did with that. And then most importantly, which I think you guys are probably most keen to know about, is interviews. How I managed to solidly solidify all 3 interviews. What I said ish, well, actually I can't tell you what I said. So how I solidly managed to prep for my interviews, I should say, and how I tried to kind of tailorish my interview preparation per university, from the information that was provided online. Obviously, those of you who have applied and been to interview stage, or haven't applied or have not got to interview stage, all this stuff is confidential, so I can't really tell you, the question said this, the question said that. No. So I can just give you kind of what type of approach I think would be most successful for you guys. But yeah, if you guys want any more additional educative help, or I'm also going to be talking about scholarship funding and all of that type of stuff. So if you guys want me to talk about any other type of educative stuff, then let me know. All of this educative stuff will be part of the educative narrative playlist. As you guys can see, I now have separate playlists according to the type of advice that I am giving. This is Natasha's narrative. Remember to subscribe, like, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and that will be all. See you guys later. Bye.